You serious?
I know a lot of you agreed with my last video, but there were some outliers in the comments. The sheep defending Only Waifu mostly had one thing to say about him. And yes, I said to him. Most of his fans don't even know that he's a dude LARPing as Ranian. To the people defending and advocating for this behavior, this is what your messiah actually looks and sounds like.
You okay there, big boy? Hello? He's a bit stunned, isn't he?
They will think I'm watching porn. I'm not doing that again.
Well, anyway, back to what people had to say when it came to defending Only Waifu. They said that he makes very informative content when it comes to the spells, weapons, and setups he showcases, which I'll agree with. They are informative, but for all the wrong reasons. Just look at some of the recent titles of his videos. The names and thumbnails alone are enough to get people clicking. And my biggest issue with it is that thousands of players instantly copy these builds without learning a single fundamental about PvP. I think that's one of the biggest problems with Elden Ring PvP content right now. A lot of creators don't teach players how to actually get good. They teach people how to cheese. And when your entire audience is conditioned to think cheese setups equal skill, the community slowly turns into a contest of who can abuse the game harder instead of who can actually play better. I experience this daily in Arena. I see way more cheese setups than actual skill expression. If you're a casual player trying new things and you don't know the counters to these setups, you're going to struggle. Then the cycle repeats. The casual player looks up some broken build, starts using it, and hopes it works better instead of learning the fundamentals. I'm going to explain this from a broader perspective instead of just focusing on Only Waifu, because most PvP creators use similar tactics to farm clicks. Some are worse than others, but the formula is pretty simple. Find an overtuned weapon. Find an overtuned Ash of War. Find a spell that nukes half a health bar. Find an overtuned talisman setup. Find some cheesy interaction casual players don't know how to counter. Then make the thumbnail around whatever cheese you're showcasing. Because fundamentals don't farm clicks. Nobody clicks. How to space correctly. How to mind game. How to backstab fish. How to roll catch. How to keep priority. But they will click. This build deletes players. So instead of improving the average player, the content ecosystem rewards creators for making the game look as cheesy as possible, because that's what people and the algorithm want. And because of that, viewers start confusing cheese setups with actual skill expression. Cheese versus skill expression. There's a difference between using a strong setup and relying entirely on gimmicks. Skill expression in PvP comes from spacing, roll discipline, stamina management, backstab fishing, understanding matchups, and knowing how to counter certain setups. Not pressing one button and deleting someone before an interaction even happens. Anybody can copy a YouTube build. That doesn't make them good. If your entire playstyle collapses the second the gimmick stops working, then the build, or in some cases the L2 button, was carrying you the whole time. And the sad part is newer players don't even realize this. Even players with thousands of hours in the game still can't grasp this concept. They think they're learning PvP, but in reality, they're just learning cheese. Why this hurts the community. This kind of content creates a miserable feedback loop. Creators showcase annoying setups because gimmicks and cheese get engagement. Then thousands of people start using those setups. Then the community complains about how toxic PvP is. But nobody wants to admit where that behavior came from in the first place. When the most rewarded content is centered around cheese, people naturally stop valuing actual improvement. The goal becomes winning as fast as possible instead of mastering the combat system. And it's honestly sad because Elden Ring has one of the most complex PvP systems From Software has ever made underneath all the nonsense. Fundamentals are more important than builds. A good player with any setup will almost always beat an average player relying on a gimmick, because fundamentals transfer between every build. Good spacing works against all weapon setups. Good roll discipline and movement always outshine the cheese. Good decision-making always matters. That's the stuff people should actually be learning. Not, this setup is broken. And honestly, some of these creators probably already know this. But fundamentals are harder to package and to build slop content. Cheese gets reactions immediately. Skill takes time to appreciate. The bigger problem with PvP content. A lot of PvP content now is basically just raw gameplay with minimal effort behind it. No breakdowns, no analysis, no teaching. Just watch me pub stomp people trying to PvE when I have thousands of hours in PvE. And because the audience already likes the creator, they'll watch regardless. Which creates this weird cycle where the content gets lazier while the fan base becomes more defensive. Any criticism instantly turns into, "You're just a hater, you're just mad, you're just a Redditor." No, people like me are just tired of PvP content, being reduced to pub stomping brand new players or showcasing who can abuse cheese harder. I know this side of the game is hated by most people, which in turn makes it harder for creators to monetize the space. But I believe there's still so much potential in this community. Cheese setups are always going to exist. That's just a part of Elden Ring. I just want players to understand there's a difference between cheesing your way through the game and actually learning it. PvP is at its best when players are engaging with the combat system, spacing, mind games, adaptation, and mechanics. Not just chasing the next broken thumbnail build. Because eventually, if all people learn is cheese, the skills ceiling of the entire community drops with it. At the end of the day, do what makes you happy. The problem starts when every piece of PvP content turns into one-shot, build slop, and people forget the actual fundamentals that make PvP interesting in the first place. Knowing how to keep priority fishing decision-making. That's the stuff that actually makes good players stand out, not just copy-pasting the newest cheese setup from YouTube. That's my take on it. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you want more PvP videos like this, and let me know what you think in the comments. I'll catch you guys later.
Guess it. You can guess it correctly. Come on, little poggy. I know you can do it. That's right. A counter hit. Well done. Who's a good little poggy? Who's a good little poggy?